Hey everybody, it's Tiffany. I'm back with another episode of Meet the Trainers with Rangemaster. And I've got one of our TACCon dynamic duos, Ashton Ray and Tim Chandler, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up. Thank you so much for coming back to TACCon, not letting us run you off just yet. You always bring a lot of fun to the agenda, and we're going to talk about that today. But before we get to your classes, let's do our standard intros. Folks, these are my cousins. Can't you see the resemblance? But let's see. Let's start with Tim. You want to introduce yourself?
Howdy, folks. Tim Chandler. I've been had the privilege of presenting at TACCon since 2019. It's been a minute. Nobody do the math on that. I'm over math. Math is lame. Uh, but I teach with 360 Performance Shooting with my buddy Ashton. I'm a owning partner in JDC, Justified Defensive Concepts. And I also teach with CitizenDefender.com. And occasionally I even help Tom out. And that's it. No more jobs. Right.
Sure. We'll see how that goes. And he didn't even get to his day job, ladies and gentlemen. So that's just that's his other full-time jobs. But
Working for the government in a completely not fun capacity.
Ashton's full-time job is kind of fun, or at least it sounds fun, right? Ashton, tell us who you are.
Sounds fun. Maybe, well, I've never heard it described that way. Um, my full-time gig is in commercial nuclear power. I'm a staff instructor, professional instructor, and I'm also tasked with being the simulator test engineer. So I provide oversight and I test and provide proof to the regulators that our simulators are fit to train and test Homer Simpson and his bosses. That's my day job. Uh, I don't want to go into all the other jobs because there's a long list. I teach at a local college as well as I'm a Pennsylvania State Constable, and I do a bunch of other crap. Being busy is something that's almost fanatical to me for some reason. I can't seem to stop. I also happen to own 360 Performance Shooting, and so I tell people all the time it's the tagline for the company. If you can't be safe, be dangerous, and that's kind of what we try and bring to the table: a high level performance with thought and intention and accountability behind it.
Nice. Yeah, we were just teasing you behind your back about just how unbelievably busy you are. So I guess that cat is out of the bag. Oh.
That was a partial list. Tim, don't do the accent.
So let's dive into your classes because they're always super popular and fun. One that we're reprising this year is called 8 Second Ride. By the way, Tim and Ashton are famous for having the best class titles at TACCon, so there is that. But 8 Second Ride could be taken in a whole lot of directions, but we're going to talk about recoil control here. That's where the analogy is going, right, guys?
Indeed.
All
Indeed.
right. Who wants to start us off with 8 Second Ride?
Go ahead, Ashton.
So, um, Gene Hackman said something in Unforgiven. He said, first you got to cock it. Well, he got that wrong. First, you got to hang on to it. First, you got to put your hands on the gun. Everything stems from that. So, there's a level of maturity and nuance. And Tiff, you and I have talked about this individually. Um, there's when you first start out, people tell you grab it with both hands and just hang on to it hard, and that gets you somewhere. And
Mhm.
then some people will talk about 30% and 70% or 62.6% and whatever. Those things. There are a number of different ways to get this cat naked and skin this thing. But we have a really, really nuanced look at what to do with each part of your hand. And we break it down into steps and we give you a roadmap. And you don't have to use it all. You can steal pieces from it because this is all pieces I've stolen from everywhere else, going back 15 years. And if you've taken training before, if you've actually, taken firearms training with people that tell you what to do, You've likely heard these words before, uh, but you may not have thought about it as deeply as we do. So this is an in-depth look at how at a number of different avenues to control the gun and be able to hang on to it for that 8 seconds, right? Until that buzzer goes and you can get off that bull safely.
Because it's been our, the reality is the gun functions better if you have a good grip on it. It is a lot easier to shoot accurately and rapidly if you have a good grip on it. And it's harder for someone to take it away and use it on you if you have a good grip on it. So maybe we should like start building people there. Seem like a good idea?
Rocket science.
Exactly. If it makes the gun run, you can shoot better with it, and people can't kill you with your own pistol. That seems like a great place to start. And like Ashton said, nothing we're going to tell you is revolutionary, but what we are going to do is we're going to take you back in time to when you trained with someone like Tom, and he said, get all the grip you're going to get on the gun before it comes out of the holster. We're going to go, okay, stop.
Mhm.
This is what he meant by that. All of this other stuff is encapsulated in that one statement that probably you missed. So let's take a little time, explore the scenery, and figure out so you can go, oh, he meant that? Yes, that's exactly what he meant. That's why you're not getting it, right? We're going to stop on the things that, and we're not just hair club presidents, we're also clients. We're going back and showing you the things we wish we'd have paid more attention to when we were in class so that you get a better result a little bit faster,
Oh
right?
God, this is absolutely one of the big blocks that I wish I would have understood better 20 years ago. It would have saved me a god awful amount of ammunition, time, money, and angst.
Tendonitis,
And tendonitis, yeah, and tennis elbow, right? I
Well,
mean,
and
this
I
is
and I'll throw another one out there for folks who don't, bench press 800 pounds. Like for the first half of my shooting career, I was just told that I needed to grip harder. And I had it in my head that it was a strength thing only. I realized that strength can be helpful to you here, but it's a class like this that really, really just breaks it down to the different building blocks, like Tim said. And I just think it's super practical for people who have never, it's kind of like those classes where they say, get your gun out, and they don't actually teach you the draw as into its broken down components.
right?
This class is that for the grip. And I really, really think it's a fantastic class. If you haven't taken it before, and even if you have, train with Tim and Ashton, because like they said, they give you a bunch of little tools and you can take some of them, take all of them, take one of them, take two of them. And it's one of those classes where I would say you'd be hard pressed to spend these 2 hours with them and not come out a measurably better shooter, or with, stuff you can implement right now. Not like, hey, in 5 years, this will make a difference, like tomorrow, today.
Right.
So I love this class. All
well, I
right.
mean, it's
Oh,
not
go ahead.
split, it's not split in atoms. I know how to do that. This is
There you go. Spoken like a true atom
sure,
splitter.
sure.
So, and you two are also bringing a new class this year, which I was just telling Tim, I just wish I could just pronounce the name of this class all day long. I just want to walk down the hall in school and tell people to go coach themselves all day long. So, I love it. I love it. Please tell us who's going to start us off with a sneak peek into Go Coach Yourself.
Well, Tim's from Jersey. He lived in Jersey for a time when he was young. So if you say it like that, hey, go coach
You go
yourself.
coach yourself, hey, right? So, one of the things we've become somewhat known for, which I didn't know we were known for until Tom said it, was we're kind of known for being able to coach people pretty well. And honestly, that's really where Ashton's and my passion lies in, because our contention is you're a lot better shooter than you think you are. If we can just get you to change how you think about a few things, your performance level will increase dramatically. And we're kind of carrying on that. We're aiming at that person who is competent, but not yet proficient, and how to become proficient. And really, it's a lot of simple things once you understand it well and it's broken down. So what we're going to do in this class is it's an ambitious goal. We're going to give you in that 2 hour time frame as much of what we see on the line now after having spent Lord knows how many years and had, trained under some of the best coaches in the business. Somebody like Todd Green, for instance, taught me a lot about coaching. Ashton's taught me a lot about coaching. He's learned a lot from being on the line with, at this point, thousands of shooters. What we see over and over again are the major issues. I mean, little things like, for instance, if you are struggling to find your dot when you present the gun, are you maybe moving your head while you present the gun? Because if you move the gun and your head at the same time, they're not going to line up in the same spot. And I've seen just that make people go, oh, wait, I was doing that? Yes, you were doing that. I can see that you're doing that, but it's really hard for you to tell when you're actually behind the gun. So some of those little common pointers and some common ways to think about things that will help you have a better understanding of what's happening behind the gun as it's happening behind the gun, so you can fix it if it's going wrong or improve it if it's doing okay, if that makes any sense. Right. So trying to show you a little bit of what we see in when we're coaching shooters, that we've seen make dramatic differences in them and literally instantaneously, so that they go, oh, that's what I should be. Yes, that's what you should be doing. So giving you, because unfortunately, I can't be there in your next competitive shoot, or maybe I am there if it's a tactical conference match, in which case you can't use anything I teach you. But I certainly can't be there with you if you have to use the gun to protect yourself. So the only coach you're going to have is the one you pack. So we're trying to give you that coach's eye behind, so you can actually be engaged in the process and run it a bit better.
Love it. Oh, Ashton, were you going to add something?
Well, so Tim talked about just a couple of concepts. One was, I look at shooters based on three groups, right? You have a group that's working to gain competency, that first level of competency. Then once they gain that competency, they continue to work through and continue to practice, continue to train. Then they gain a level of proficiency, which now allows them to start thinking behind the gun as opposed to thinking about the gun. And then once you gain that proficiency level, now you start to chase mastery, which is never ends. And everybody ends up there at some point, hopefully, and they're all on walking their own path, so to speak. So how much you get is dependent upon where you are in the path, right? Somebody that's very, very accomplished, we're not going to give them a laundry list of things that they're going to walk away with. But that one nagging thing, I've heard that a bunch. I hear this all the time. I heard it in we were AIing for Tom in West Virginia this year, and the one fella said, I got more coaching in the first 4 hours of this class than I've gotten in my last 3 classes. Mm-hmm. And that's a pretty important thing for guys like us to hear.
I compliment.
I consider myself a coach far more. I endeavor to be a coach far more so than some talking head instructor or teacher that stands in front and sounds like the teacher on Charlie Brown with the womp stuff, right? Yeah. So the goal is, I tell everybody at the beginning of a 360 performance shooting class, is my goal is to put myself out of business, to give them the tools to be able to identify what performance gaps they have and how to fix them so that they can practice effectively. Because to me, there's only 3 reasons to go to training. 1 is to hear things you haven't heard before, to learn new material. 2 is to work under the eye of somebody who can see things you can't see because you're behind the gun and doing it, and they are able to see something and then turn that into a useful coaching point. And then 3, once you leave, have something useful to be able to do to continue to raise your performance. Because, if people could just stroke a check big enough that an instructor could hand them a box with a bow on it, say, here's your mastery, pat them on the butt and send them down the road, this would be a much less intense thing, right? It'd be a lot of checks flying around, nobody doing nothing. Wouldn't take much time at all. That's unfortunately not the case. So it's about helping them build that plan moving forward, and knowing what to do and how to practice and how to identify what they need to practice and all that type of stuff. So
and that's going to be different for everybody, because we're just like we're going to do in the 8-second class. We're going to take time with each person to sort of look at what they've got going on, because everybody's got different size hands. They're shooting different size guns, and they come with different levels of skill. So everybody's going to need different input, and they're going to have different things that are key for them to work on, or different ways of saying things, different ways of thinking of things to get them where they need to go. So that's going to be really that's the real magic, if there is any, in what we're doing, is that we have the ability to run the same series of exercises, but it's not the same series of exercises for everybody on the line because everybody's going to have a little bit of a different focus. They may be shooting 5 rounds, but how they're doing it is going to vary depending on what we've seen from them and what we want them to work on. And really, in our experience, that's the kind of thing we always look for in classes. We didn't see it a lot in a lot of classes we paid a lot of good money for. But that's what we're trying to bring to our clients and hopefully to you lovely folks at Tech.
Fantastic. I love it. All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I'll end on this note. There was one little tidbit that was left out of the intros, and that
Okay.
is there on this call a past pistol match winner?
Oh, I don't know. I heard about that guy once, but he had a
Did you
lot more
hear about
gray in
him?
his beard than
Yeah,
I.
apparently somebody once told him to go coach himself, and he did so very effectively.
Yeah, I tend to do okay in the shoot off, which it's not the sole measure of performance, but when you end up number one in the preliminary match because you did exactly the things Ashton and I are going to talk about in 8 Second Ride and in Go Coach Yourself, and it turns out to work pretty good, except for against Mirko,
Yeah, right.
who's my white whale.
I'm just pleased you have the panoramic lens in use to fit your entire head in here.
Huh?
Oh,
You're going to be trapped in
I
a
knew
truck
that was
with me for
coming.
20 hours getting there. You really want to do this?
Yeah, I ain't scared. You know that. I ain't scared of nothing. I'm too dumb to be scared.
Oh goodness. Yeah, uh-huh. That's how you ended up working in nuclear power because you're so dumb.
Oh shucks, Tiff.
He's the dumbest smart guy I've ever met.
Well, I love you both, and I can't thank you enough for all that you bring to TACCon every year. Can't wait to see you. I am going to give you a great big old bear hug, both of you. And I'm looking forward to it. So we'll see you soon, okay?
So are we. Take care, folks.
Can't wait.